We're ready.
Okay, you're gonna start?
Yeah. Welcome to Fake Crimes. It's fake crimes. These are crimes. They are so fake. Nice.
I realize now that you were doing like a...
I don't know the name of the song.
Bell. I don't know.
It is
Bell.
as some have said.
A very famous song.
Incredibly famous song. As you can see, we have Dad here today. He's wearing his Mr. Shmee the Pirate hat.
Yeah.
His little beanie.
And I may be somewhere hiding, like Waldo. That's also
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Also Waldo.
if I have
Maybe.
yeah.
Your
Maybe.
hair possibly.
We should get you one of those Ebenezer like long nightcaps.
Okay.
So you can honk shoe me to your heart's content.
Excellent. And
Dad-
I can also use it as a protective.
Yeah.
I can smack
Oh.
people with it.
You're like, get out of my house,
It's
burglars.
been a long time since I've been headbanging, so it'd be an opportunity for me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Incredible. Today we have an ad with a lovely small business. They're super sweet. Bridget and Hannah of Galaxy Brain Design and also Hot Floss Embroidery. They're super cute. Y'all probably saw our like video that we did with them.
We did a TikTok and a reel. I
A
think.
TikTok and a reel, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing twice. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
they're great if you're looking for holiday shopping things for people who are gay or love cryptids or love weed. All great options.
Yeah.
Or they love stoned gay cryptids.
Yeah.
Also that.
Also.
We've got some really cute, if you're watching the YouTube, you can see they've got some excellent official Cryptid Queer stickers. And then this little sticker sheet's really good. We have an absolutely iconic, it's like cryptids of the United
America,
States.
yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good. And then here's some of the Hot Floss embroidery. They're a couple being cute, making shit. You can link. That will be linked. You can click on the link.
You can click on the link.
Down
you can
below.
participate in the link clicking.
Yeah, you could follow them or you could get some things or whatever you want to do. But they're
Leave
really
them
great.
a nice little comment.
Say, wow, what cool gay things you made.
Nice things.
What are we talking about today, friends?
Today we're talking about Barbarian.
Yeah.
Barbarian, the three of us watched it together a mere few days ago.
Oh, yeah. It's Oops All Crimes.
It is. I feel like the
Spoiler alerts. We're gonna get there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be, this is a Oops All Spoilers podcast. If you're just tuning in for the first time, please know that.
if you wanted to watch this,
You
go
can.
watch it first and then watch this.
and then come back here. I feel like mostly this podcast is we're trying to trick people into being into horror. So if you're kind of a little bit of a pansy, such as some of us are or have been in the past, yeah, then this is good content for you. I would say so many people said this was like the scariest movie they'd seen all year.
Oh my goodness.
I did not feel like it was scary
No,
at all.
I didn't think it was scary at all. There were two jumps that got Dad.
Well, Dad's easily gotten by jumps.
Somebody closed the door and I jumped.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
That kind of
God.
level. So
Yeah, that's where Dad's at. But yeah, I thought this was really good. I can't think of any. What trigger warnings would you say for someone who might want to go watch this right now?
I mean, like, kidnapping.
Yeah.
Maybe like,
inference of SA.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, which we will get into, but like, they did a great job.
Surprisingly well
with
done
that.
in terms of how it handled trauma.
Yes.
Yeah, this felt, and I could be completely mistaken, and other people might feel differently. This felt differently. This felt like a very like trauma informed horror flick. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of times horror movies try to be trauma porny on purpose to make people uncomfortable, and this really didn't feel like that to me.
No, like the scariness of like the sexual assault is not like shown.
No.
It's clearly like essentially what happens is you can tell that they have been like stealing girls and like assaulting them or creating them.
Or people, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Or people.
Yeah.
But like by seeing like their names on videotapes essentially.
Yeah.
But you don't actually see what's on the tapes.
Right.
You hear like 1 3-second scream from a tape, but you don't actually see anything.
Yeah.
And like I feel like normally they're always showing way too much for essentially no reason, no payoff.
Yeah, if you've recently had an experience where someone, I don't know, was trying to gaslight you about some trauma, there's going to be a character you're really not going to like at all whatsoever.
That is true.
But I don't think you're supposed to like him.
No, he's not
this
likable.
really felt.
You're not supposed to be on his side.
So it's easy. I think that that's sort of like a hard character to like watch, but otherwise I wouldn't say that this as always, Does the Dog Die is a great resource. DoesTheDogDie.com. It doesn't just have whether or not the dog died, it has like all kinds of things that like we might not think to mention or like write down specifically. But
there is a heavy breastfeeding theme in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a Twitter joke, but it's because it's true.
Yeah. And honestly, as folks who have experienced a child loss, once that portion of the film was happening, I was like, oh no, is this going to make me uncomfy for that kind of a reason? And I would say no.
Yeah, not for us at least.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
There's still there's a bit of gore.
Yes. That's true.
It's not super prevalent throughout the show, but when it happens,
there's a moment
it's pretty significant
at the end.
Yeah.
I would say anytime there's gore, you know what's going to happen.
That's true.
And you know exactly what's going to happen. And you go, no, there's no way they're going to show that. And then they do, in terms of gore specifically. So there's one moment at the end that I definitely close my eyes for.
Me too.
But yeah.
I saw it. It was
a bit much.
Too pasty.
It was accurate, I guess, to what I think might happen if you did that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So that's something to know. Okay, so basically the trailers for this movie make it seem like the whole movie is about Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise, in the new Pennywise movies, and then he's also in Castle Rock. Very tall, very handsome.
I didn't see Pennywise in the show, and I was very confused. But now
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Right.
They make it seem like it's a movie about him and the main girlie, who I don't know the actress.
Oh, she's incredible.
But she's very important,
job.
very beautiful, and they make it seem like the whole movie is about the two of them, and only the first 30 minutes is about the two of them. Really.
Yes, and as well, like the description of the movie, it's like two people are sharing an Airbnb,
like they double booked on Airbnb,
and now something horrible is going to happen, and you're like, oh okay,
and you're like, oh okay, he's a murderer.
Duh, obviously he's a murderer.
And that's not at all what happens.
No.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker, they pulled me into that one.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a bait and switch. So it's
totally
basically the storyline of three different. There's like three different storylines happening.
Like storytellers.
Yeah. So the first one is the main girl and Bill Skarsgård. That's the first like 30 minutes. Then it seems like you have gone into a different movie when the second chunk starts. Like we were like, what's happening?
Literally.
Because the lighting is different. The camera angle is like different. It's a little bit fisheyed, like just the tiniest bit.
I would love to know, whoever directed this did an incredible job. I would love to know if they purposefully, like the more unreliable the narrator is supposed to be when you're seeing it sort of like from their perspective, like if they put more of a fisheye lens on it, because it looked more distorted and also kind of more technicolor when those things were happening. Like those people are doing bad shit and also like they are putting a positive spin on it, so you're kind of seeing it weird and like overly technicolory bright.
Yeah, and then when you get to the third narrator, who is kind of the man who sets everything in motion.
Yes.
His is like incredibly like fisheye distorted, and then
we come
colors are really, really, really bright.
Yeah. It was a great movie.
It really was good.
More, in hindsight, the more distorted it was the perspective, the worse the person was.
Absolutely.
Very much like if you thinking about it now, it was an indication that we could have caught of like you think you know who the good guy is, and again they prove you wrong.
Yeah. It was really good. I think we should like get into the plot and like explain like what
happens. So do you want to talk about the first chunk?
Yeah. So the first chunk is through the experience of this woman. She's so beautiful, so lovely. She's not white, which obviously we love in a horror movie because there's so rarely.
She also lives.
People of color. That's true. She also lives. Spoiler alert. And yeah, it's just she's there for what kind of like a
she's there for a job interview.
Yes, for a job interview
in Detroit.
And she has booked this Airbnb stay at this house, and there's somebody else already in the house, and he's very handsome, very tall. It's Bill Skarsgård. He does an excellent job in this film. He's so handsome. He's so handsome. He's so tall, and like obviously from like seeing the previews and the description, you're like, oh, he's the bad guy.
You're like, he's tricked her. But she basically says she booked on Airbnb and he booked on Home Share.
Yeah, so they booked on two different things,
and they're trying to call the number of like the person who owns the house. Nobody's answering.
Right. And he is just like, I would say lovely.
Yeah, he invites her in.
Clearly, like they're both uncomfortable enough in the correct way that I just kept being like, is he going to be a nice guy? And then I said the sentence, if he's nice, he won't live past this like first like 30 minutes. And I was correct. But
it's because we didn't think he was going to be nice. We were like, no, this is all an act. He's being, and like they have a lot of really nice moments. Those two characters.
He's so scary in a lot of things. They clearly like could be really cute, like romantic leads together.
Yeah,
like
their chemistry was really good.
If he had lived, that was kind of the direction where that was going to go. But basically, she like leaves during the day to do this interview, right? And then she comes back. I don't even know what the fuck was happening at that point. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, well, he's off doing his job or whatever.
At the interview, she interviews. It's going really great. It's going well. And then the woman asks about the person she interviewed with asks about where she's staying, and she says the region,
the neighborhood or whatever.
And the woman is like,
really
physically shook that no, you got
to get out of there.
Very, very careful. So the main character arrived at night,
right?
Went to the interview in dark
in the morning or whatever,
and so doesn't really see it until the light of day when they return.
No, and so she comes back and we can see that it's like a very rundown neighborhood.
Yeah,
a lot of like graffiti, like it's
a lot of clearly abandoned.
And
homes.
there is an older gentleman who yells at her like, "Little girl!" Like
he says like, "Hey little girl, come here."
Chases her.
Yes.
So like you think he's like also a bad guy, like trying to get her.
Yeah, we think he's like scary or trying to grab her, and we're mistaken.
Yeah, we get back around to him.
He's actually lovely. We'll get there.
No distorted view.
No.
Cameron was lovely.
And you can't really see him. He's blurry in the background.
The other thing that's so interesting is that when she is talking to Bill Skarsgård, she's basically like, "Oh, like you." Previously, the night before, she's like, "Oh, you as a man don't even have to like worry about anything like this. Like I have to be like on high alert all the time." And like all these things are true, but it's interesting because it's juxtaposed with this uneasy feeling that we as the audience have of being like, no, we know that Bill Skarsgård is a bad guy, and we don't actually know that because he's a great guy. But so she makes it back. She can't find him. Like he's
not back yet. He left a note when she left for the interview that morning, saying like, "Hey, we can try and call the people again when you get back. Good luck on your interview. I had to go to work," or wherever he had to go.
Right.
She gets back to the house because she's like, "I gotta get out of this neighborhood, whatever." And she is like packing up all of her shit because she's all scared about that homeless man who had yelled at her.
Yes.
She tries to call the police and they say like, "We have no units. Also, we're not going to that neighborhood." Essentially.
Yeah.
So it's also an ACAB film,
which we love to see. We love to see.
But the basement door like opens on its own.
Oh, okay.
And then she goes down there to try and get something. I don't remember. But the basement door locks.
She hears him say something, right?
No, that's not so.
Not Ben.
You tell it. You keep telling it.
So, she's in the basement. She's looking for something, I think, but I don't remember what. And then she gets locked in. So she's locked in, really stressed out. She finds, like, essentially like a rope with a hole in the wall. And she starts pulling it, being like, what is this? Maybe it's an exit. And it opens this secret door in the basement. Takes her down a hallway to a room that's really gross. It's got a camera pointed at a shitty bed.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh my God, he's going to make a horrible film against her will.
Yes.
Like, Bill Skarsgård is bad. You got to get out of there.
Right.
But she's locked down there. She's screaming. Eventually he comes home and he lets her out of the basement because he sees her in the like basement window.
Yep.
And she's like freaking out. She's like, there's something down there. There's a weird room, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, like, I'm going to go check it out. Like, you stay here. And she's like, no, let's just go. And he's like, no, I'm going to go. He's like really insistent that he's going to check it out. And that's when you're like, he's tricking her.
He's a bad guy. He's trying to go down there first. He's trying to get her to go down there with him.
So he goes down there first. She keeps like calling after him. She like doesn't hear him. She finally is like, I'm going down to the basement to try and get him, which was a mistake on her part. She doesn't know this man. She should have just let him die.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but she's a
good character, and that is a relevant
She's a good person, and it's important that she's a good person.
So she goes down there. He's like... he's clearly like also opened the same door, found the weird room. She walks all the way down the weird room. She still can't find him. And like we as the audience are convinced he's going to jump out and like kill her.
Yeah.
But she like, then that's when she like faintly hears him screaming.
Yes. And
she finds out there's an even secret door.
Yeah.
Down the hallway.
Yep.
And she keeps like faintly hearing him scream. Eventually with her phone as a flashlight, she finds him. He's like crouched down. He's like, there's someone in here. We got to get out. And she's like, okay, this way. And then that's like the first...
for help. When she does get that door and she's yelling down
to him,
she can hear him saying, help me.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh, is he really going to lure her down there?
Yeah.
I mean, you're still going, is he the bad guy or not?
And everybody on the couches is like, he's a bad guy. He's trying to get her down there. And I was like, he's going to die. If he's nice, he's dead right now. And we know it.
Should really use his head.
Oh, my fucking
So anyway, then our like main bad girl, I guess, like bad, like monster.
She's the monster of the film.
Yes.
But go ahead.
Perceived monster.
Yes. The like monster living underneath, and she is like really tall. She is naked with breasts, and that's relevant actually.
She's very like elongated in terms of her skin's kind of like grayish. Go ahead, Dad.
Tall.
very tall.
Like large.
Yeah.
And in charge.
Very tall. Her teeth are like not right. Like
she looks scary in kind of like an uncanny valley way that you would expect someone who has lived underneath somewhere and not seen a lot of sun, and also she's got a specific look to her, but it's kind of like she's more like cryptidy human looking, as opposed
and she's
to,
like very sticky sweaty, like
so she looks kind of like how I would imagine like a demon would look if you were to see one, not knowing anything about Christianity.
Physically imposing, like
very
that person could kick my butt. Like,
absolutely.
And she kills Bill Skarsgård instantly.
So what she does is he's like, oh shit, we gotta get out of here. She grabs him by the head and then smacks his head into the wall over and over again. So like clearly very strong. And she's not saying words. She's definitely sort of like moaning, yelling, groaning, but it's not like it's not words. So at this point we're like, oh, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Cut, shift, move into
and then it's like fun music, bright lights.
Completely different vibe.
And you're like, oh, is this a flashback?
And like, it's a completely the beginning of another horror movie where we're being lured into like, this is totally fine. Yeah.
That has, I don't remember, Justin Long is his name.
Yes.
Who I think is a lovely man. He plays an asshole in this.
This guy's a piece of shit, and he does a great job.
He does a great job.
He's incredible in this film.
So he's like a Hollywood actor who like is probably like, for the energy is like, he's not like Brad Pitt or anything. He's been in like a couple things. He is about to start his own like sitcom.
It seems like he has like very like a lot of generational wealth though.
Yes,
so it's not
he's
he's
well
like,
off.
He's not struggling.
He's not struggling. He's like a B or C list actor. So like he's got a nice car, but like he clearly really needed this pilot.
Yes.
So while he's driving down the road having a good old time, his agents call him and they essentially say like, hey, like HR is doing an investigation and they're like scrapping your pilot because the actress is saying that you raped her. And he's like, what the fuck? That's not what happened. Like, he's like, and he seems so surprised that I, at least, was like, is she like really lying? Like, he seemed so surprised that this actress would say this.
Yeah.
And then Bo was like, no, I think he's just that shitty and unaware.
And as we're watching it, I'm like, that would be so bold of them to have there be like a false sexual assault allegation in this, because it is so rare that happens.
That's true.
Right? But like, oh my God.
No, unless it tied back into the house. Like we didn't know who the villain was. So we thought maybe the house was the villain, you know? Like,
yes.
Anyway, so I was like, maybe like they stayed at this house together because we had no idea how it was going to tie in. Anyway, he ends up being technically the owner of the house where all this is happening.
Yes.
He bought like this house in Detroit, even though he lives in LA, to like use it as an Airbnb.
He's like, everything is falling apart in my life. Like his attorney is dropping him. Like his finance guy is dropping him. And so they're like, you need to like, he's like, can I just like sell some properties I'm not using? And they're like, I mean, you have to do that and you're covered for like a month, but like, you're fired as my client. I'm not having you anymore. And he's like, fuck all you guys. Like, this girl's a liar. Like, this fucking sucks. So anyway, he travels to this we find out that he owns the house. And so he, on arrival of this house, is like, what the fuck? Like, clearly there's been like squatters here. Like, who's been like staying at my house? Go ahead.
Yeah. He is like seeing random things, clearly showing that someone was there. He calls like the people who are supposed to be running his Airbnb for him.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, like this hasn't been cleaned. Like, what the fuck? Like, do you guys not like periodically clean? And they were like, no, we only clean like before someone new arrives or after someone has left, and no one's been there for months. So now you know that it's been months since Bill Skarsgård and the other girl have been there.
Yeah.
So like they've been missing that long. And he's like, what the fuck, whatever. Anyway, through like him also seeing the basement door open and finding the weird room, he starts going down and exploring things.
Yes.
And then the monster like finds him, puts him in a cage.
First he finds our girly. Our girly finds him. No. Oh,
go
ahead.
They no, he, in a cage.
I was gonna say first he sees the video actually before the monster finds him.
Okay.
He finds the
VHS that's playing. That's not till later though. That's after the cage.
You tell us.
Okay. You guys have terrible memories.
I guess.
So he is like going through the caves. He's literally... Oh, actually first...
No, I'm right. They find each other and she's like...
Hold on. You're both wrong. He goes down there. He gets up. The basement didn't lock him in. And he starts Googling, can you include basement and square footage?
That's true, because it's really funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
And he's like calling, being like, I'm going to be a millionaire. This is going to sell for so much money because it's technically a huge house. Anyway, then he goes down with a flashlight and shit.
And finds the girl.
No, finds the videotape that's playing saying you and your baby bond during breastfeeding.
Yes,
blah 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 blah.
It's like a weird tape from the 50s.
Yes, and
it's
and
like a How to Be a Mother video.
Yes, and it's in a room with like a bed in a corner.
Yes,
like and he's like, it clearly smells like shit, and he's like, why is this weird video playing? Whatever. And then the monster finds him. She grabs him. She puts him in the cage. That's when we see our girly for the first time.
Okay.
So they're both in an underground, like, cage with the main girl from the first chunk. He's like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And she's, like, grabbing him, and she's like, you have to be calm. You have to relax. The more you freak out, the more she freaks out, talking about the monster.
Yes.
Then the way the cage is set up is it's, like, dirt all around them, and then a cage, like, hat, like, top.
Yeah.
So the monster is, like, looking down at them and is saying, like, baby over and over at the two of them.
Yeah.
And, lowers like a baby bottle to them. It's clearly like
full of her breast milk.
Her breast milk that she's trying to feed to Justin Long.
Yes.
And he is like, no, fuck this. No, no, no. And then our girly, who we haven't seen in months, who looks like shit, like starts drinking the breast milk, and she's like, no, like make her happy. Like this will be fine. Blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, no, whatever. She gets upset. The monster like opens the cage and gets in with them.
Yeah.
And is like holding Justin Long.
Yes.
To try and, like, soothe him.
Yes.
And then the girlie's like, she wants you to be her baby. What I don't remember is how they get out of the cage.
No, I don't remember.
She gets irritated.
And pulls him up out of there.
And drags him back
to the room with the VHS.
With the VHS.
Yes.
You're right. And then she starts trying to breastfeed him from her breast.
And the other girlie is climbing out of the cage.
He doesn't want to have.
No, he's throwing a fit.
He is upset. But our girlie gets out, leaves the house. Runs.
Makes it.
Yeah. Makes it. She's okay for a bit. It's morning. She goes to a gas station.
Okay. Does our friend not talk to her at that point?
No. This is after the cops talk to her.
Oh my fucking
So she finds
God.
a gas station. She's like, you have to let me use your phone, blah, blah, blah. He clearly thinks she's like a crazy homeless person. And he's like, okay. He's like really irritated. She calls, the cops show up at this gas station that she's at. She, again, looks like shit. They clearly think that she's an insane homeless person. They're like, look, that neighborhood's full of crazy people. Like, you know, it seems like you're really like going through something. They're awful to her. She does convince them to go to the house, but they won't go in.
No.
They're like, if you don't have a key, like, we can't just break down the door because you claim that your stuff is in there. Like, and she's like, what the fuck? Again, it's an ACAB moment.
Yes.
Basically, they're like, you're SOL, sorry. The cops leave her. Then the homeless man who screamed at her in the beginning.
Who is lovely.
Sees her, and he's like, you gotta get out of this neighborhood, you gotta get out of this neighborhood.
And for those of you playing the home game, so the first person, the woman that goes in there, right?
Yes.
Seems okay.
Yep.
Seems nice. The other guy, you're like, oh, he's gotta be
Oh, we don't trust him.
Be a bad guy, right?
Yep.
Turns out that he, to all we know, he wasn't a bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's fine.
He was lovely.
He's lovely.
We turn back around and the person that's the police show up, and you're thinking,
oh, thank God.
Not really. But,
we didn't think that, but some people might.
Somebody might help her.
Right.
Right.
Somebody
Clearly,
who has the position to help her.
Nothing.
The homeless guy, we saw him. We were like, oh, that guy's scary.
He's trying to get her.
Guess
and
what?
now he's the person we're going to for help.
Yeah.
And when Morgan's saying crazy homeless person, she means like that's how the police are
that's
seeing
how,
her.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
Not that they're crazy.
That is
she
what
says,
they're
she
saying.
says something like, I'm not a
she
crack
keeps
addict.
saying,
I'm
yeah.
not on
Literally,
drugs.
that's what she keeps saying. She's trying to be like, hey.
I've been held there for 2 months. Or
yes.
She didn't say that.
So the homeless man talks
lovely.
to her, and he's lovely, and he's like, there are worse things in this neighborhood than her. I know exactly who you're talking about. She comes out at night. If you got out, she's going to come looking for you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get out of this neighborhood. You got to get home to wherever you're supposed to be.
Yep.
And she's like, there's someone else down there. There's someone else down there.
And he's like, fuck him.
He's like, fuck that guy. Like, you know, whatever. It's not your problem. You got to get out of there. But again, our main girly is a nice person.
Yeah.
And so she goes back down there to try and save Justin Long. And, like, through a series of things that happen.
They're
Oh, wait,
separate.
hang on.
Go ahead.
So she starts to go down there, and then that's the end of the second segment. Because then we have to go into the third segment.
Yep.
Because we'll come back to Justin Long and the girly.
Yep. And we start, and it is...
even more distorted, even more bright colors.
So brightly colored, and it's clearly like the 1950s?
Yeah, I would say 50s or 60s.
60s? And it's this old-ass man. He works as... not anybody. He works in a jumpsuit, and basically...
No, he has a jumpsuit. He doesn't work there, I don't think.
Right. So there, it's this. We see the neighborhood, and it's like really nice. All these houses are really beautiful.
It's clearly the same neighborhood.
Yeah, clearly the same neighborhood. He's got a jumpsuit on. He chats with his neighbor. His neighbor's like, "Oh, like we're trying to move out of here because this neighborhood's going to shit. Like, are you gonna get out of here?" And he's like, "No." Like, he doesn't talk very much.
No.
He goes to this woman's house, and he's like, hey, I have to... What does he say he's inspecting?
So
he says,
this was before he talked to his neighbors, though, right?
Yeah, it was.
Because he was there, and there was a woman putting her groceries in the car is where he was at
the grocery store.
And he's like,
that's where he finds
her.
the baby tape also.
He follows her to her home. He slides on this cover suit that says...
Yes, that's why I think he doesn't actually work there.
Daryl or something on it, or whatever. It says some name on it, right? And he's obviously impersonating the water and...
Something.
Anyway,
something.
Long story short, bad man sees a beautiful woman at the grocery store, decides to stalk her. He puts on a coverall suit, and that was in just his back seat.
Yeah.
And knocks on her door and says, like, hey, we've been having weird outages in this whole neighborhood, so I'm just here to make sure everything's good. Can I come in? And she's like, oh, of course, because it's the 60s.
Right.
And so he goes in her bathroom and, like, is, like, flushing the toilet and, like, clearly messing with stuff. He unlocks her window.
Yep.
And then leaves, and he's like, no, everything looks good. Call this number if you have any issues. And she's like, okay. Clearly he unlocked it so that later he can go in and steal her.
Right.
I think that's all we get from that dude, though.
Yeah, him having the conversation with the neighbor and that's all we get. And we're like, oh shit. You see, it's important the dress that she's wearing.
Yes.
Like that is a thing that we all notice is that she's got this pretty little yellow flowery dress on.
Because you see it later all dusty and gross in the corner of the downstairs basement area.
Yes. Yep.
So clearly he stole her, assaulted her. And then what you find out from the homeless man is that, like, they've been, like, that's how he got the first person down there, and he has been, like, procreating with his own children.
Yes.
And, like, doing that for
And now
years
we've gotten to long, tall, scary lady.
Yeah, now we've gotten to... So the monster is, like, his incestuous, like, bride child.
Very stressful.
One of many that they've had, but, we assume the rest of all died or not made it.
And they don't show you any part of that process.
Yeah.
It's just like that heavy insinuation of like, oh my God. And then the homeless guy being like, oh, like the person, the girl who is chasing after you, she was born there 40 years ago.
Yeah, she's
like,
always been there.
That guy never left the house. So,
yeah.
I mean, more than 40 years probably even, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So then we go back to another scene change. We're at our girlie trying to rescue Justin Long.
Oh my God.
A bunch of different things happen where she's like tricked him by going one way or another. They separate for some reason because he's alone when he sees the man.
Yes.
Or maybe she hasn't come down yet when he sees the man. But regardless, Justin Long gets away from the monster.
Yes.
And he is like trying to get out by himself quietly. He has gotten all twisted around, and now he's actually deeper in the basement, and he finds the original man who stole the woman from the grocery store.
The horrible fucking man.
And he's no idea that's who it is, right? I mean,
no.
He is just like...
No, he doesn't know who anybody is.
No.
So he's looking at the old man, thinking that the monster woman has stolen the old man. And he's like, hey, dude, we got to get out of here. Like, I'm coming back for you. Like,
which is interesting because what we're seeing again is someone who our story point person thinks is a good person, and they're not a fucking good person.
Yeah.
Like, this man is the scariest person in the house. He has caused all of this. He is evil.
It is disgusting where he's at. Everything is gross. Everything is dusty.
Yeah.
Justin Long is like looking around, being like, you know, what do you need? The old man is like pointing as hard as he can
at the nightstand.
And Justin Long is trying to figure out like what he's pointing at. So he brings the whole nightstand over. He like is searching through stuff, and he sees a bunch of tapes that say like redhead or like snaggly tooth or like crier, and like they all like none of them are like names. They're all like names that clearly that old ass man has given to infants or maybe other people he stole off the street, or like
we're not really sure.
We're not really sure.
But
tons of them.
But the nightstand was clearly just out of this old man's reach. Like there's like a separator curtain, and like the nightstand's on the other side of it. So he's completely moved this nightstand to the point where the old man can't reach it. And this is another moment that I called because he is reaching for a gun so that he can kill himself. So he finds a gun in the nightstand, and you're like, maybe he's gonna kill Justin Long, and then he doesn't. He kills himself.
Yeah. So because of the loud noise, though, the monster has found Justin Long.
Yes.
But also, our girlie has found Justin Long. I don't remember how that happens, though.
It's a good movie. You should watch it.
Anyway, eventually, both the main girl and Justin Long get out of the basement.
Yes.
But they are being chased by the monster. They get chased really, really far to the homeless man's place.
Yes, to his water. It's because they hit her with the car.
Yeah. the girl did.
She hits her. They get in her car. They hit Scary Lady with the car. Scary Lady appears to be dead on top of the car, and the car's fucked up. Like, they can't do anything. And so she's like, our first girl is like, we gotta find this homeless man. He's in a water tower that he had talked about previously.
Yeah.
Then he's like chatting with them. I think this is the one where we get like the full backstory.
They think that you're safe.
She's been shot, though.
Yeah, Justin Long.
Oh my fucking god! Yes. Oh my god! This is a great scene too, because what we see is essentially just like a flashlight being pointed at the. I don't even. It's hard to tell what's going on. It looked like a moon in the sky to me, but basically you're like, what the fuck's happening? And so we're having
he's escaping.
He's taken the gun from
the
gentleman.
He's taken the gun from the guy who killed himself.
He's managed to sneak that far. He's got the gun and a flashlight.
Yes, and so all we see from the perspective of our girly is the light, and then we hear a bang, and she's been shot in like the side stomach / area, somewhere that like she's not like bleeding out and dying, but like she's not doing well. Yeah, she's not doing great.
Anyway, so you get to a point where you think that you're safe again. Yes. Justin Long and our girl are talking to the homeless man. He's like, I've been here 15 years. You know, she's never come all the way out here, but like she's definitely looking for you guys if she's not dead. And like just in that second, she like bursts through and completely obliterates the homeless man.
Yes.
Another
and then,
gory portion of the movie.
Yes, and while they're with the homeless man, is that when he has his speech about how he's going to be a good person from now on?
Oh, Justin Long?
Yes. Oh my fucking god. So I don't know at what point he says this line of where somebody is essentially like, oh, is it a flashback to him talking with one of his buddies? But somebody's essentially like, did you actually do that to that girl?
Oh, this was before he went to the house when he goes to a bar, but yes.
Yeah, someone's like, did you actually do that to that girl? And he's like...
His buddy's like, I read the report, like is any of it true?
Yeah, and he's like, no. And then he's like, well, she took some convincing. And then you're like, oh, this man's a fucking piece of shit. Yeah. And so we know that about him. So anyway, he has this like speech with this homeless
He's like crying, and you're like, maybe he's learned his lesson.
Wow, he's having a breakdown. Like, gosh,
he's like, clearly I've been like, he's like, sometimes something happens to you and you think that it's going one way, but actually it's like completely different for the other person who's there. And like, man, I'm really gonna think more about like,
oh my fucking god.
He's like, you know, I'm really gonna think harder about like the things that I do, and like he's like teary eyed, and you're like, Justin Long's really like, he's gonna call that girl and apologize, like he's gonna,
and we're like, okay,
he's having a moment.
Okay, Mr.
You
Long.
believe him for just a minute. Anyway,
just one moment.
The monster comes through. She obliterates the homeless man. It is very gory.
He's dead.
Justin Long and the girlie are trying to run away. They run up the water tower.
Yes.
The monster follows them up the water tower. Justin Long sees that our main girlie is hurt because he shot her.
This is so cinematic.
And the monster is like trying to get both of them. And he turns to our main girl and he says like, you can distract her long enough for me to get away. And our main girl is like...
Literally, he says that to her.
Yeah. Our main girl's like, what? And he takes the main girl and throws her off the water tower.
In slow motion. Go ahead, Dad.
No, just the way he just grabs and slides her
like
off.
No fucking hesitation. He to her face says, "You can slow her down enough that I can make it out of here." Grabs her by the head, fucking throws her to the side,
tells the monster, "Go get your baby."
Yes.
Or the monster doesn't even.
No hesitation. Monster lady, who's not really a monster, literally is like fucking like
leaps
Olympic
off the water tower,
diving.
Grabs our main girlie and like twists so that the monster falls first and our girlie lands on top of her.
So what we see when we look down is our girlie bleeding, not doing well, on top of monster girlie who bleeding and
really
not
doing well.
So Justin Long fucking climbs down, I guess.
He must have.
Oh my god. So he goes to like look and see what's going on with the two of them, just to like investigate, or like I don't fucking know. He's got the gun with him though, right?
Yeah, he's got the gun.
I don't know if he's gonna like finish them off or like what the fuck.
That's my fear.
Is.
That was exactly.
Yes, I was like he's gonna shoot both of them in the head right now.
Yep.
I was so fucking stressed out.
Such not a nice person.
Oh my god! And then what happens?
So he is like, he first of all is trying to help our girlie sit up, and he's like, "You were already slipping before I could." He's like immediately starting to gaslight her.
Yes, he's gaslighting him fucking self. He's a piece of shit.
He's like, I'm so sorry. You were already slipping, and like I couldn't do anything about it. And then she just dove after you. That's so crazy how it happened like that.
Yeah.
Immediately, and then I don't remember if the monster. Is that who gets Justin Long?
That's what happened.
I do remember.
Yes, I was trying to figure out. I was like, does he get shot? And
no, I remember now.
Go ahead.
So the monster like is not dead because you know she's been inbred for a while. She's got those strong bones.
Oh my god.
So she, the monster like sits up.
Yeah.
And she realizes, I guess, that Justin Long is like the bad guy and like put her baby in harm's way.
Yeah.
So she grabs Justin Long by the head and puts her thumbs into his eyes. and they do show it.
Oh my god!
It
I
is,
saw just the beginning.
They didn't show a lot when I.
Yeah, if your hands are over your face, you miss a portion of it.
Finger filter.
It was gory.
Oh my god!
But it is like, so the monster like kills Justin Long.
Yes.
Then she turns to the girly who now has the gun.
Yes.
The girly is like, "You saved me. Like, thank you so much."
Yes.
And then she kills the monster. She shoots her in the
It's
head.
a lot more sweet than that.
It is.
because it's clearly
It's like a cell.
It's a self-preservation, and also like this woman has had a terrible fucking life. She shouldn't have to suffer anymore. She's stressed out all the fucking time.
And the monster is not only saying baby, but
she's saying baby.
Can see that she's hurt.
Yes.
And is trying to get her back somewhere to help her.
Yes, and is trying to like lift her up and like hold her. And our girly,
but she's also hurt.
And our girly has tears streaming down her face, and she's like, "Thank you for saving me. Like, I cannot go back there," which is fair of our girly.
Yeah.
And so she shoots her, which I think that's...
It actually is really nicely done.
The monster is clearly, I think is clearly aware she's going to get shot.
It doesn't, it doesn't
seem like she's scared.
She held the gun
for a while.
Right,
to her face.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, what? No, really? And
she's got sad eyes.
So this monster that just leapt off of a water tower
to
and
save
saved
her.
you and hurt themselves.
Is a significantly better person
protected
than
you from
eyes bludgeoned man.
Yeah, also so like that's kind of like the whole theme of the movie is like people who you think are gonna be nice or at least not shitty are awful, and then like the monster is like actually very kind and is just doing like what because all she's seen in her whole life is that movie from the 50s. That's like how to bond with your baby, how to save your baby, how to breastfeed.
Yeah.
So like that's what she thinks her only goal in life is to be, especially if that old ass man, that's all he's told her over and over.
Right. Also, if she's seen him do horrible things to people, I'm certain. So not only is her trauma response of killing people when she's upset, like kind of like not okay, but definitely sort of like understandable. But also, like, honestly, it's a wonder that she's not more fucked up than she is.
It's probably a learned behavior when people are loud and don't do what you want.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but it kind of ends up, you leave the film kind of being like, oh, wow. Because the vibe is, it's like, don't trust people for no reason, but also give people a chance to be trusted. Is kind of like how it, like, felt to me.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I do think it like her monologue talking to Bill Skarsgård at the beginning, being like, as a man you'll never get it, as a woman like I had to work really hard. I texted a picture of your driver's license to my friend.
Yes.
Like, like you would never have to do that as like a tall man. And Bill Skarsgård's character actually is essentially like, you're right. Like,
offers to make tea in front of her because she wouldn't at one point drink.
Yeah, she didn't drink the tea he made because he was like, I realize you may think that I put something into it.
He acknowledges and actually says, hey, you know what? You can make your own tea. And, and they end up sharing a bottle of wine and actually end up.
They're so cute.
They clearly, very much, the first 30 minutes, if you just watch that, it's a rom-com.
It's a really cute rom-com where you're like, oh my God, what a sweet man.
Before it isn't.
Yeah. I would say the crimes in this film, oh man. In terms of like the actual filmmaking, no crimes.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Great fucking job. In terms of the crimes that are taking place in this,
the crimes that are seen and also not seen.
Yes. I would say
that man who stole the woman from the grocery store.
That man's the most evil, horrible.
The second most is Justin Long's character.
Oh my fucking God.
Raped one of his coworkers and then was like, that's crazy.
That's so wild.
So what do you think the guy that started the whole thing that took the woman who ends up killing himself because now he's realized, is there something there about him that he's realized how bad he's been?
Oh, I don't think so.
No, I think
Why
it's
didn't
mostly
he shoot the other guy?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, because I think it's not productive for him. I think he just was that fucking old. He couldn't get out of bed anymore. And he was like, I don't have anything left to do. You know what I mean? Like, no, for real. Truthfully, though, because it's clearly something he had been trying to get to. And obviously she hadn't let him. Like, he wasn't.
Because it's self-preservation
somewhere along
for her.
This path, it went even worse than he anticipated.
Right, because he is no longer in control. No. Because physically he's not able to be in control.
No, but I think he also, and I could be wrong, but I think it's like implied that he's like a doomsday person in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, because it's
so
like
I think he thought that he was taking her down to like be safe from the war or whatever.
Yeah.
And like either...
An awful small gene pool to start with.
Yeah, like either by himself or with like him just being away from other people so long, he thought it was a good idea to procreate with his own children. I have no idea. But, so yeah, I think it's probably like he...
We were wondering where the food came from.
Yeah.
Because the guy that got
The
his head
homeless
hit in
guy.
the wall,
Yeah.
he was no longer there.
No.
That's true.
And
The homeless guy also says, I think, that he's been like making babies with the babies and then also eating the ones that didn't survive.
And like grabbing people, because the people who've been staying in this Airbnb, they've not been making it out, right? And we don't see any of them.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid they're taking folks in the area that are homeless, right? That
Yeah.
they're just around. It was not a redemption arc for that guy. Don't get me wrong.
No.
It's just I was convinced he was. You're like, oh, is he going to shoot him?
You think he's going to shoot Justin Long, but no, he shoots himself. I honestly figured it was because he didn't know how many bullets were in it, or like he just didn't fucking care about what happened.
Oh yeah, it seemed like
he only cared about getting out.
His position that he was in was more miserable, so he was like that, and he wasn't thinking about anybody else.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
I think is probably what it was, right?
I think the intent was by the time we were done, it was really making you look at what is good and what is bad, or what seems to be evil. And
I loved that the cops were shitty, because that's exactly how the cops would fucking be.
Yeah, that's how they are.
We've actually been watching a bit of true crime, and I know this is fake crime, so true crime where it's like told by the parents of the victim type shit. So it's exclusively people who are consenting to this film being made. There's like some documentary on Netflix that we were watching. But anyway, they're always, every single time you watch
they're always
one
like,
of
I
those,
went to the cops
and
saying,
the cops didn't do anything.
I think it could be, this person, or like, have you looked in this area? One of the dads, actually, his daughter was murdered when she was like 16, I think.
Yeah.
And they found her 2 years later, basically in
Exactly
the exact
where they
spot where
said
the dad was like,
that they would be, but the
I think
cops
you should check over here.
didn't want to look and didn't give a shit and weren't properly equipped to
And
do that
he's
kind
like,
of thing.
if the cops had gone when I told them to, she still would have been dead, but like at least I could have done something. Like,
Right.
I would have something to
they would have
bury.
more
like,
information, right.
He,
And
he
so-
was like, there might have been evidence.
Right.
But it's like a place where I don't know why the man.
So in
didn't
general,
go,
I
but-
feel that true crime has a tendency to be a cab on accident, because all cops are bastards. And then this film, I thought felt very a cab on purpose.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated, because that is what it would be
That
like.
is,
Like,
they
really-
definitely
especially
discredited her a minute into it.
in poverty-stricken locations. Like, they're not, like, they are prioritizing.
They're not taking it seriously. They're not sending
drug
police
deals.
cars
I'm like,
out.
who fucking cares?
Yeah.
they're not
You know?
invested in the people enough at all to figure out what's
to
going
protect
on.
them, or
No, and then the people who are there don't trust them, because
Yeah.
why would you?
Yeah.
And so they don't get good information when they're looking for that information, so it perpetuates the cycle. But yeah, I thought, it was, I would say like 10 out of 10 bagel bites.
it
for
was
me.
really good. I really liked that I didn't have to see any sexual assault.
Yeah. I thought the directing was immaculate.
The directing was really good.
It was great. It was very well done.
Yeah, it was like really good, really good.
There was more breastfeeding than I anticipated.
There was. I wasn't mad about it. I did appreciate that of the things that were going to make us uncomfortable in the film, that's what they're doing, as opposed to lots of other things.
It wasn't the
yeah.
most uncomfortable thing about the film.
That's
No.
true.
Not even
That's
probably a
true.
close second.
No, God, no.
Yeah, it was good. I liked that the main character was a person of color who survived.
Yeah, it felt very
And
much.
had no romantic interest, and it's
true.
Made all of that.
You know, because the monster is a woman, I think it passes the Bechdel test.
Oh, it literally, her saying "baby,"
Yeah.
like that lady. Yeah, that would be passing the Bechdel test.
Yeah.
So that's a win. It's a win for Allison, for sure. If nobody else.
Yeah.
The creature's name.
Allison Bechdel created the Bechdel
I was
test.
like, I missed
Can you
the
imagine
name.
if I
How did miss-
named?
It's Allison. Oh.
Stop.
Allison.
Poor Mrs. Bechdel. No.
Sorry.
She's a lesbian.
Yeah.
She's a cartoonist. Dad doesn't even know.
I know. I just gave Bo her book, actually.
I know that I've heard the Bechdel. I couldn't recite
little
it, but I
toesies
knew what
are
it
out.
was.
It's not actually, because I know people will comment this if we don't say it. It's not actually like intended.
That's not really how it's supposed to be used.
decide if it is like
A feminist.
a feminist or something.
No,
that's,
but
like good.
most movies fail.
It's
Yeah.
it's like a vibe check.
It is
a
funny
vibe.
that most movies fail.
Right.
Not funny, but like,
cosmically.
not surprising.
Cosmically relevant. Is there anything else that we had to say about this movie? It was really fucking good.
I thought it was good, yeah.
I'm so shocked.
It's also like it really
saying
wasn't
that-
that scary.
Yeah, in saying that it's not scary, it is suspenseful.
That's
Yes.
true.
It will make it made me cover my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm a jumpy person, so I jumped a couple of times. But like, it's not
I feel
about
like
jump
the-
scares.
The jumps though, you knew they were coming.
Yeah.
Didn't help me, but yes.
No, never does that.
No, but like I do think some people like are fine with jump scares if they know they're getting into them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's not a jump scare heavy movie. It had like 2.
Yeah, maybe 3.
It's so
Suspenseful.
interesting to me. I would love to know why so many people said it's like the scariest movie they've seen all year, or like the scariest movie they've ever seen in their life. I don't know what part of it was that scary to them. Like I don't.
I do. Well, I don't know what I do. I would theorize that their perception of what they thought should have been scary wasn't,
Oh.
and just the opposite. So,
And so that
I mean,
is-
that's pretty unnerving in itself. That every
Yeah.
time you think you can trust
Yeah.
one thing, it's
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't going into that movie, I had seen the memes about like breastfeeding lady, just like the tiniest bit, and so I did not think that leaving it I would be like, ah yes, a la Frankenstein's monster. She's giving someone who I think in a better position could have done much better, and at her bones was like not a shitty person at all whatsoever.
She's
like,
not the worst person in the movie.
not
No.
even close.
She's
She's
just
not
trying-
even top 3.
No, she's just trying her best.
Consciously, she's not doing anything.
She
but
did murder
No.
the most handsome man in the film.
I don't think that's not like not. Sadly, well, it's not of evil intent. It was just
No, and
She's not
also,
malicious.
if people are
No.
always going, like, can you? I mean, she's probably
She's
had the
probably
shit
hungry.
beat out of her. Okay, well, probably partially that, but also I'm sure she's had been screamed at and
Yeah.
had people be mean to her.
She's literally been abused several
like
times
her,
by that man.
yeah, easily, definitely. So yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I can't think of anything that would make it a better movie for me.
Yeah.
I think it was not I think possibly a perfect horror film in my book. I thought it
I'd
was.
give it a 9.
Yeah.
A
That was
9.
really good.
You can. There's always room for improvement.
No, that's true. That's true. I just
I'd
feel
probably
like,
also give it a 9.
why should we, you know?
Maybe tassels, something to help.
On the nipples?
Something to take that
Oh
down
my
a notch
God.
or more.
It
No.
was so much. I was thinking that I would love to see like a prequel, but I wouldn't.
No, I don't need more information on that terrible man.
No.
Hmm.
No, I get what I would like is more information about people who've stayed in that house.
I was gonna say what I want is more information about the whole neighborhood, actually, because
Yeah.
the homeless man has a line where he says like, "There's worse things in this neighborhood than her,"
Yeah.
and I assume that he just means the evil man because he's evil. But as far as like actually putting you in danger, because he's 1,000 years old, there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
I think they left the door open.
Yeah.
I think they left the door open to something else, right?
Perfect
to take you
World?
back to like, oh, this is actually. They could have a completely different storyline of how that
like
came
from
to
the
be.
universe of Barbarian.
Oh my God, we have to comment on the killer end credits song. It's that fucking My Baby.
Oh, yeah.
It was so. I love when you watch a scary movie and it ends in such a drastic, like dramatic, like
And then the
there's so much
music's
going
fun.
on. And then the music's. It was literally My Baby, which is hilarious because the baby.
That's not
It's said
that
much
song.
clearer than it's got the words in it.
It's
What-
got my
what-
baby.
what
You're
song
singing
was
that
it?
song from TikTok.
Am I singing what was the song that it was?
It's is it not Don't Worry Baby?
Oh, be my little baby.
Yeah.
That one, which also talks about baby. Oh my
Yeah.
God. It was cute.
From Dirty Dancing.
And you're like, oh my fucking God, they
Yeah.
really
Nobody
did that
puts
to
baby
us.
in the corner.
Yeah.
No. Or
In
our
the
main
cage.
girly.
Or underground. It's a
Yeah.
bad idea.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Any other closing thoughts, team?
No, it was good. You should watch it.
Good
It's
film?
not that scary. Couple jump scares.
Good film. Fake crimes.
Little
Tell
gross.
us. Little you grow.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, for
Lot of-
different reasons.
lot of
Not only
nipple.
gross, but
Right.
also gory.
If
I
you
think
can
gory.
watch the head smashing in Midsummer, then you can probably do this easy. I still close my eyes at the head smashing. So if that's something you can do this. But
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, friends.
Nice. Thanks for
Thanks for
hanging out.
being here. Thanks for doing fake crimes. You know?
That's
Don't
how
do
they are.
crimes.
Don't do crimes.
Just watch fake crimes.
yeah.
Watch them.
Just watch and vibe. Okay, love you. Goodbye.
Bye.